everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while and I've missed you guys. I hope to be putting out more videos way more often now that I'm back. There is Rambo, my puppy, and there is Tank. Today I'm going to be painting a custom pet portrait on a wood slice. These have been really popular over the last 2 years during Christmas time, but I'm still getting orders as they make really cute gifts. I use wood slices from this company called the Mitlow Shop on Amazon, and I will leave a link in the description if you're interested. They're pretty good quality. Half of them I think come pre-drilled with holes and the other half do not. It is pretty easy to drill holes in them if you want them all drilled. That is Salem. That is my cat Salem. He loves to get into everything I'm doing, and he has been known to leave paw prints in acrylic paint all over the house. So I use paint from Blick, Hobby Lobby, Michaels. It is acrylic, but I also have this huge stash of Arteza acrylic paints that I really love. I think it came in a set of 60, and they've come in really, really handy with making these wood slices. I keep all my reference photos for my pet portraits on my iPad in a separate folder called reference photos. Duh. And here is Otto. That's who we're going to be painting today. So there are a variety of ways to get your drawing onto your wood slice. You don't have to put a drawing down on your wood slice. You can definitely just start painting. That's a little risky for me. I tend to make a lot of mistakes. You can also draw directly with a pencil onto the wood slice. I find it really hard to erase my mistakes, and I do make a lot of them. And the other method is that you can draw onto a regular piece of paper, like a piece of scrap paper or computer paper, and then transfer your drawing. I like to use this tracing paper. I trace it and cut it out the same size as my wood slice, and then I draw my dog or my cat or whatever my pet portrait is going to be of onto that tracing paper. And I hold it over my wood slice so I can position it exactly where I want it. That is the reason I use the tracing paper. If you draw on a separate piece of paper and you place it over, you're kind of doing it blindly. Once I have it where I want it, I hold it down really tight and slip a piece of graphite paper underneath. With the graphite paper in place, I take a pen and press down firmly on my drawing lines. You can get this graphite paper at any craft store. I think I got mine at Michaels, but I'm sure you can order it online as well. I have to press down pretty hard with my pen because of the grooves in the wood slice, so just keep that in mind if you try this project. Once my drawing is transferred, I like to darken some of the lines that maybe didn't transfer over really well, or just enhance some of the markings on the dog so that I remember where they go when I'm actually doing the painting. Once my drawing is ready, I put down my paints on a paper palette. I use black, titanium white, ultramarine blue, burnt umber, Indian yellow, alizarin crimson, yellow ochre, and Naples. Eventually, I add on some cerulean to my palette as well. I like to start these wood slices by painting in the eyes, nose, and mouth. I feel like they are usually the focal point of the painting, and if you nail those accurately, you can get away with painting the rest of the portrait pretty abstractly. So I start with the eyes. In this case, I'm starting by just mapping out the shape using a cool black. So it's black mixed with ultramarine blue. While the eyes dry, I go in with a warm black this time, so black mixed with umber, and I paint in the shadows in the fur. I just go around the dog's face wherever I see shadows in my reference photo and start painting them in. So here I know it's really hard to see on camera, but I'm using a mixture of black and burnt umber to start to lighten up some areas of the iris where I see some of the dog's the brown eyes coming through on the reference photo. Then I've mixed up a really warm brown to do the same. I just build in layers on top of the previous brown layer in order to paint in that reflected light. So for the highlight, I usually do it the same regardless of what size my pet portrait is, especially if the pet is outdoors in the photo. I make a mixture of cerulean blue and titanium white and paint in the reflection or the highlight with this really light blue. After that, I continue to mix in more and more white into my blue mixture and just build on top of that highlight. This is my favorite part to paint on animals, their eyes, and especially the highlight. If you've made it this far into the video, tell me what your favorite part is to paint down below in the comments. I'd like to know. So as you can see, it didn't take very many brush strokes, but if you place them correctly, you can end up with a pretty realistic looking pair of eyes. Next, I start painting in the nose. The nostrils are usually the darkest part, and then I move on to the other dark areas of the nose. I know it's really hard to see on camera, but there is a slight difference in the color that I'm painting the nose. It is slightly lighter than the nostrils. Again, I like to build up my colors. I start with the darkest and paint in just slightly lighter versions around it and build up until I get to the lightest areas. This tends to yield the most realistic looking paintings, in my opinion. So next I'm moving on to the tongue. I'm painting the deepest shadow with some ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, and a touch of burnt umber, as well as that groove in the tongue. Getting the tongue just right is always a challenge for me. You can see that I struggle a little bit, but if I take my time and keep looking at my reference photo, eventually I can get something that resembles a tongue. Next, I'm painting in some of the darker areas around the mouth. I tend to skip around. Sometimes I paint in all the darkest shadows at the beginning, but in this case I'm going from the eyes to the nose to the mouth. Moving on to the ears, same concept, starting with all the darkest areas first and then moving to the midtones and the lights. I really love painting dogs. I think dogs and horses are my favorite subjects. What are your favorite animals to paint? Or what are your favorite subjects to paint? Maybe they're not animals. I'd like to know. I also would like to know if any of you have ever painted on a wood slice. It is challenging. Those rings are a little bit raised and they do make it a challenge, but I love it. I think it gives the little pet portrait a whimsical effect. So here you can see I'm painting in the midtones in the fur. I do use Naples a lot, Naples yellow, especially in just the last couple of years. I've discovered that Naples yellow actually does exist a lot in nature, especially in fur. Adding in some of the lightest fur, and oops, can you see that I made a mistake? I did not trust my drawing enough, and I went outside of the lines because I got kind of lost, and then I looked at my reference and realized that I painted out too far. So normally with these wood slices, I outline them in black acrylic paint pen, and so I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. I normally do it at the end, but I'm going to do it now so that I can cover up my mistake and also remind myself where I should be painting and what areas I should avoid. These acrylic paint pens are pretty cool. I will leave a link to them in the description. At the end, you can see how I actually use them on my pet ornaments. If you go to my Instagram, you can see a lot of examples, and I feel like outlining them in the black acrylic paint and then the white, as I will later, just makes the pet portrait really pop. You don't have to do these outlines if you don't want to. It is just personal preference. If you do want to do the outlines and you don't have the acrylic paint pen, you can most definitely just use black and white acrylic paint with a really small brush like the one I'm using here. I don't know if you guys can hear the wind outside my window, but it is incredibly windy. I keep having to pause and restart my voiceover because my dogs are going crazy. So here is a box of dotting tools that I use to make snowflakes. I got them off of Amazon, and I'll leave a link in the description if you would like to buy them. You don't need them. You can definitely just use a small paintbrush, but I dip them into white acrylic paint and make a bunch of little dots in the hopes that they will resemble snowflakes. Now that my black acrylic marker is dry, I go in with a white acrylic paint pen and go just around the outside of the black marker. I try not to cover it up because I like a double liner, and on the back I always write the animal's name and the year that the ornament was created. I'm just using a Sharpie here, but again, you can use whatever you like, whether it's a paintbrush or acrylic marker. It's your call. Here I am adding a little detail with the paint pen again, the marker. And I always sign the back of my ornaments. Here I'm using some of the twine or jute that the wood slices came with, so I can make a little hanging, a little hanger for the ornament, so it can hang off of a tree or wherever. And I just tie one knot in it before I add the ribbon. This is a really fun project. I hope that you guys will give it a try. Once I get the bow exactly how I like it, I trim it down to make it more even, and this is what the ornament looks like. Oh, sleepy boy. With each ornament, I include a little instruction sheet, a sticker, a business card, and a thank you note. The little instruction sheet just says to hang indoors only, and sometimes it will chip. That's normal for the wood to chip and crack a little bit. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you like it, and I hope you'll give this project a try. See you guys next time.